People often wonder why so many seniors seem to pull away from social visits after they hit 70. Friends and family members notice the change and sometimes worry that their loved one is becoming antisocial or depressed. But what if I told you that this shift isn't about giving up on life or relationships? What if it's actually about something much deeper and more meaningful? Today, we're going to explore 6 reasons why many people naturally reduce their social visits after 70, and why this isn't a sign of decline, but rather a sign of profound wisdom and personal growth. You see, when you reach your 70s, something interesting happens. Your perspective on time, energy, and relationships undergoes a fundamental shift. It's not that you stop caring about people. Instead, you start caring more deeply about how you spend the precious time you have left. You become more selective, more intentional, and yes, more protective of your peace. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's one of the most natural and healthy developments of aging. The first reason many seniors reduce their social visits is what I call the energy awareness shift. Think about Maria, who's 73. For decades, she visited her sister every weekend, even when those visits left her feeling emotionally drained. Her sister would spend hours complaining about neighbors, gossiping about family members, or rehashing the same old grievances. Maria would drive home feeling exhausted, not physically, but emotionally depleted. One day, she realized something important. She only had so much emotional energy to give, and she wanted to spend it on interactions that lifted her up rather than brought her down. So she started spacing out those visits, choosing instead to spend time with a friend who shared her love of gardening and always left her feeling energized and positive. This isn't about being mean or cutting people off. It's about recognizing that emotional energy is finite and becomes even more precious as we age. When you're younger, you might bounce back quickly from draining conversations or difficult people. But after 70, that recovery takes longer. You start to feel the weight of negative interactions more deeply, and you naturally begin to protect yourself from unnecessary emotional stress. The second reason is the time perspective revolution. When you're in your 30s or 40s, time feels endless. You can spend an entire afternoon at a family gathering that's only mildly enjoyable because you figure there will be countless more opportunities. But something profound happens when you cross the 70 threshold. Time suddenly feels finite and incredibly valuable. Every hour becomes something you want to invest wisely rather than spend carelessly. Consider Robert, who's 75. He used to attend every family barbecue, every neighborhood block party, every church social event. But gradually, he began asking himself a simple question before each invitation. Will this bring me joy, or am I just going out of habit? More often than not, he realized he was going out of obligation rather than genuine interest. So he started being more selective. Instead of attending every gathering, he chose the ones that truly mattered to him and spent the saved time reading books he'd always wanted to read and taking peaceful walks in the park. This shift in time perspective isn't pessimistic, it's liberating. When you truly understand that your time is limited, you naturally want to spend it on things that align with your values and bring you genuine satisfaction. Generic social obligations start to feel less important than meaningful personal experiences. The third reason is the authenticity awakening. After 7 decades of life, many people experience what can only be described as an authenticity awakening. You've spent years, maybe decades, being polite, accommodating, and socially appropriate even when it didn't feel natural. You've smiled through conversations that bored you, attended events that drained you, and maintained relationships that felt one-sided. But something changes after 70. You start craving authenticity over politeness, depth over small talk and genuine connection over social performance. Take Helen, who's 78. She used to participate in a weekly coffee group with ladies from her former workplace. The conversations were always the same: complaints about health problems, gossip about people they used to know, and reminiscing about the same stories over and over. Helen realized she was attending these gatherings not because she enjoyed them, but because she felt she should. One week, she decided to skip the coffee group and instead visited a local art gallery. She struck up a conversation with another visitor about a painting they were both admiring, and that 20-minute chat was more meaningful than hours of repetitive small talk with her coffee group. This authenticity awakening often means letting go of relationships that were built on convenience rather than genuine connection. It means being honest about what brings you joy and what doesn't. And while this might mean fewer social engagements, it often means more meaningful ones. The fourth reason is physical energy conservation. Let's be honest about something that younger people often don't fully appreciate. After 70, every outing requires more physical and mental energy than it used to. Getting dressed up, driving somewhere, being socially engaged for hours, and then driving home can be genuinely exhausting in a way it never was before. This isn't weakness or laziness. It's a natural part of aging, and wise people learn to work with their body's new limitations rather than against them. Consider Frank, who's 74. He used to visit his son's family every Sunday for dinner. The drive was an hour each way. The house was always chaotic with grandchildren running around, and the noise level was overwhelming. By the time he got home, Frank was so drained that he needed the entire next day to recover. Eventually, he suggested that his son visit him instead, or that they meet somewhere closer and quieter. His son initially took this personally, thinking his father didn't want to see the grandchildren. But when Frank explained that he wanted to preserve his energy so he could be more present and engaged during their time together, his son understood and appreciated his honesty. Physical energy conservation isn't about giving up. It's about being strategic so you can enjoy the social interactions you do choose to have. When you conserve your energy wisely, you can be more present, more engaged, and more enjoyable to be around during the visits you do make. The fifth reason is the relationship quality filter. By the time you reach 70, you've had enough life experience to recognize the difference between relationships that nourish you and relationships that drain you. You've learned to distinguish between people who genuinely care about your well-being and people who only reach out when they need something. This isn't cynicism. It's wisdom born from experience. Think about Dorothy, who's 71. She had a friend who only called when she was going through some crisis and needed someone to listen to her problems. But when Dorothy went through a difficult period herself, this friend was nowhere to be found. Dorothy realized that this wasn't really a friendship. It was more like being an unpaid therapist. She gradually stopped making herself available for these one-sided conversations and instead invested more time in friendships where the care and support flowed both ways. This relationship quality filter means that your social circle might get smaller, but it becomes much more meaningful. You stop trying to maintain connections with people who don't really see you or value you. Instead, you nurture the relationships that bring mutual joy, respect, and genuine caring. The sixth and final reason is what I call the inner peace priority. After 70, many people experience a fundamental shift in what they value most. External validation becomes less important than internal peace. Social status matters less than personal contentment. Keeping everyone else happy becomes secondary to maintaining your own emotional equilibrium. Consider William, who's 76. For years, he hosted elaborate holiday dinners for his extended family. even though the preparation stressed him out, and the gatherings often ended in arguments between family members. One year, he decided to spend the holiday quietly at home with just his wife, enjoying a simple meal and watching old movies together. Some family members were upset, but William realized he had never been happier during a holiday. He had chosen peace over tradition, and it felt wonderful. This inner peace priority isn't selfish. After decades of putting others first, many seniors finally give themselves permission to prioritize their own well-being. They realize that they can't pour from an empty cup, and that maintaining their own peace and happiness actually makes them better company when they do choose to socialize. If you've been watching this video and finding these insights helpful, please leave a comment below with the number that resonated most with you. Your engagement helps us understand what content is most valuable to our viewers. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos about aging gracefully and living authentically. Now, if you're someone who has noticed this shift in your own social patterns, or if you're a younger person trying to understand an older family member's changing social habits, I want you to remember something important. Reducing social visits after 70 isn't about becoming antisocial or giving up on relationships. It's about becoming more intentional with your time, energy, and emotional resources. This shift represents a kind of wisdom that only comes with age and experience. It's the wisdom to know that not every invitation needs to be accepted, not every relationship needs to be maintained, and not every social obligation needs to be fulfilled. It's the wisdom to choose quality over quantity, depth over breadth, and authenticity over appearances. For those experiencing this shift themselves, give yourself permission to embrace it without guilt. You've earned the right to be selective about how you spend your time. You've earned the right to prioritize your own peace and well-being. And you've earned the right to say no to things that no longer serve you, even if others don't understand. For younger family members and friends, try to see this shift not as rejection, but as evolution. Your older loved ones aren't pulling away from you personally. They're moving toward a more authentic way of living. Instead of pressuring them to maintain their old social patterns, try to understand and respect their new priorities. Ask them what kinds of visits or activities they truly enjoy, and be willing to adjust your expectations accordingly. The truth is, aging teaches us many things, but one of the most valuable lessons is this. Life is too short to spend it on relationships and activities that don't bring us joy. After 70, many people finally feel free to live according to this truth. And while it might mean fewer social visits, it often means more meaningful ones. So whether you're experiencing this shift yourself or observing it in someone you care about, remember that it's not a sign of decline. It's a sign of growth, wisdom, and self-respect. It's a natural part of aging gracefully and living authentically. And there's nothing wrong with choosing peace over pretense, quality over quantity, and authenticity over obligation. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope these insights have helped you understand this common but often misunderstood aspect of aging. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you experienced this shift in your own life, or have you observed it in older family members or friends? Your experiences and perspectives are valuable to our community of viewers. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might benefit from these insights. Your support helps us continue creating content that addresses the real experiences and challenges of aging with dignity and wisdom. Until next time, remember that every stage of life has its own gifts and wisdom. Embrace wherever you are in your journey, and don't let anyone make you feel guilty for living authentically.